There's no point in going through the hassle of trying to do the row like this. Just use the foot stability of the platform. If it doesn't go low enough, lay a plate or something on there so that you can get your foot low, and that'll give you the opportunity, if you want to lean forward, to change the cable angle, sit up straight, lean back, or if you have an adjustable cable angle, just move it up down. But you have a lot more stability driving through at this hip here than you do here with something jamming into your pelvis. You guys can always train however you like. That being said, this is a extra heavy weight stack. Cold, no warm up. For perspective, no. So you don't necessarily have more stability if you do this with two arms like so. Essentially, if you're using enough load to challenge both of your lats, that means you're going to have more load pulling you into flexion, so you're going to have to stabilize against that to maintain the spinal position that you want. When you drop and you're only using the load that you need to load one lat, you have less of that, but you have rotation. So the stability challenge is different, but it's not that this is not a stability challenge and this is a stability challenge. This is less of a flexion stability challenge, more of a rotation stability challenge. This is not a rotation challenge, but it's more of a flexion challenge. Like the foot brace, because as I push into here, this is engaging muscles all the way up to my pelvis, which is actually stabilizing me better than if I were braced here and nothing was contracting in this leg to basically help me with that. I would at most have the stability here from this leg to kind of push, but even though this leg would be pushing, that's not going to help me as much in terms of managing the trunk. So, I mean, if people like doing it the other way, that's fine. But what they're probably going to find is if they ever actually get to where they're strong enough to really be doing this exercise well, you know, with a decent amount of load, they got some good lat strength, is they're really going to appreciate this kinetic chain benefit of the force that I'm pushing into here coming up and actually helping me stabilize through that hip into the pelvis into this position here.
I think this is a good teachable moment for anybody that's been focusing on the optimal thing a little too much, because what you have is you have a lot of people that maybe thought this exercise, you know, was more optimal. And so that's why they jumped on it. And now realizing that it may not be optimal, are still going to do it because they enjoy it, they like it, etc. Which is an important perspective that as long as an exercise is good enough. So if you did this exercise, you know, behind the bench and you used a good arm path, is it going to work your lats? Yes. Is it the best way to stabilize? No, a dumbbell row where you could actually brace with your arm is actually better stability than this exercise offers, right? And if you wanted to do a cable motion, you would stabilize with the same side leg and the opposite side arm if you really wanted to make this the most optimal setup for a unilateral row, pull down, etc. motion. So what I want you guys to do is reflect on that and understand that there's probably a lot of people in this community that have thrown shade at other people doing exercises because they thought their exercises were more optimal or superior. And now these people are also saying, well, I enjoy this other exercise and maybe I'm going to do it anyway, even though it's not the most optimal superior. The fact is there's plenty of room to do good exercises that aren't the absolute best exercises from a technical standpoint, right? There's a lot that goes into making or attaining results in terms of whether it be hypertrophy, body comp, physique, etc., other than having to do the absolute best exercise. What you need to do is you need to do a good enough job of having a good enough exercise, putting in enough effort, enough consistency, enough volume, getting into all of those things together, right? So that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect in any one category. It just means you have to be good enough across the board. And then that opens up freedom for people to train and do things in different ways. And that's why people get results doing different things. So just keep that context when you have the urge to critique what somebody else is doing, that, hey, not everybody has to do this. the information and knowing how to improve from where you are when you need to get to a more optimal or a better version of that exercise to continue to make progress. That's extremely valuable. But not everybody's at that point. Not everybody has goals that are that high that they're going to require that much. So, doing good exercises will never be bad, but you don't have to do the best exercise. You don't have to, right? There's plenty of room for good exercises that people enjoy, that people like, that people have access to, that are still going to provide good results.